Yo, up YouTube is the one and only legend of winning, aka Low. We back with another second channel video. I know it's been a while, but you know, why not come back with a bang and talk about the team that everybody loves and rants about? That's the Los Angeles Lakers. Now I'm pretty sure you can tell not only with the shirt, but with Kobe in the background right there. Now I'm a Laker fan. And because I'm a Laker fan, it does pain me to say that the Lakers suck. Like, they suck really, really, really bad. And I've been trying to tell a lot of people this before the season began. But hey, man, when you try to tell the truth, even if it's your own team, you're labeled a hater. But as I record this video, the Lakers have a record of 24-27, abysmal. They have an offensive rating that is bottom 5 in the NBA, which is laughable because the one thing that they were supposed to be able to do was put numbers on the board, especially with the conglomerate of talent that they had on the roster. And their defensive rating is 17th in the NBA right now, below average. They don't really have an identity on either sides of the floor, and they've really pieced together a team that is so poorly built that, quite frankly, I don't even know what they could do. Before the season began, I was sitting here telling myself, bro, Westbrook probably needs to come off the bench. I'm gonna tell you right now, yeah, I don't know if that is even an option anymore. I don't even know if that's like a legitimate answer to the questions that a lot of people have for this team and what they could be doing moving forward, outside of course, trading. But before we get there, I do want to give some slack, you know, give a little bail to some of the people and the players on this roster, because there are some reasonable explanations to why the Lakers just suck. The team has been injured. They've been dealing with a lot of injuries or COVID protocols, whatever you want to call it. LeBron has missed some games, Anthony Davis has missed some games, and a whole bunch of other players have missed some games. To put a lot of that into context, the 5-man lineup that has spent the most time together on the floor with one another is a lineup that consists of LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, Avery Bradley, Stanley Johnson, and Malik Monk, and that lineup has spent a grand total of 77 minutes on the floor with one another, which is a complete joke. Now, to put some of that in context, let's just compare it to another team. For example, the Atlanta Hawks. When you look at the Atlanta Hawks, they have lineups that have 216 minutes. Clint Capella, Bogey, Collins, Young, and Hunter have another lineup that has 151 minutes. Another lineup has 145 minutes. I mean, like, legitimate has spent a lot of time on the floor with one another. You can go to the Boston Celtics, and there's a very consistent theme. Most teams have lineups that have spent like 150 to 200 minutes on the floor with one another. So for the Lakers to max out around like 77 is a bit embarrassing. Well, I think Charlotte has a lineup that has 336 minutes. So a lot of continuity building, a lot of chemistry building can be done with a lot of other teams when players are healthy. But when you're talking about the Los Angeles Lakers, we're talking about a team that has essentially had so many different lineup problems that it has definitely hindered them in some type of growth in chemistry. Also, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to say, well, what about the big three? Let me pull that up real quick. Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James, they've only played 16 games alongside one another. Even with that being said, this is the reason why I say that it's a much bigger problem than just one or two things that so many people try to push, because even when LeBron, AD, and Russ are all on the floor with one another, their record is only like 9-7. That's it, 9-7. Granted, that's a better record and it is above 500 than what the Lakers have right now, but 9-7 isn't really moving the needle in one direction or another. Furthermore, the Lakers have still played multiple lineups and has spent every single game except for one with 2 of the 3 stars. So in the beginning of the season, it was a lot of Russ and AD. Now lately, it's been a lot of Russ and LeBron, and still the record is still piss poor. So granted, I understand they haven't had all 3 stars, but quite frankly, if you're telling me that you need all 3 stars to be above 500, I think that you still have a much bigger problem than just injuries, because a team that features Russ and AD or Russ and LeBron should still be above 500 at bare minimum. And right now we're at a point where not only are the Lakers below 500, but they're like the 9th seed, a play-in team right now. So again, what is the problem? Like I said before, and like I said before the season began, like I said in this video, I'm gonna continue to say it, this is a poorly constructed roster, and this goes beyond even Russell Westbrook. I said in my video on my main channel that acquiring players such as Trevor Ariza and Carmelo Anthony, that's not going to be enough. Yet for whatever reason, some people thought that was going to be enough. The rest of the roster is going to be built. Adding someone like Carmelo Anthony or Trevor Ariza more than likely won't be enough to fill out the rest of the roster.
Yes, it will.
Quality rotation.
Yes, it will.
Second, because players like Trevor Ariza and Carmelo Anthony, they are role players, I mean, at this point, but they are one-dimensional role players. I think a lot of people believed that Trevor Ariza was going to step in and be this elite level defender, but he just hasn't been that player, which I think was another problem that a lot of people had with really trying to project or predict what this team was going to do in the beginning of the season, because these names that held quote unquote weight, people assumed that they were going to be able to perform some type of way. But if you've been keeping up with a lot of these players over the past like 3 to 4 years now, you have seen a lot of regression, which is understandable. They're like 30 to 35 years old. The role players are too one-dimensional, and at times even the one thing that they can bring to the table, they don't even do that enough consistently. Again, Carmelo Anthony is a great example of that. THT is also another great example of that. Shout out though to Malik Monk, Austin Reeves, and Stanley Johnson. I do believe those three players, ironically they're fairly young players, but those three players have been able to play with some level of consistency, especially as of late, that has aided this team in many regards. And then we move on to the stars. I've said this in my other videos, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on it, but yeah, it's true. The stars just don't fit alongside one another. I know LeBron wants a ball handler to take a lot of pressure off of him, and I think that's a fair assessment to make. However, ball handlers in today's NBA are at such an abundance that I cannot believe that the Lakers actually went out and got Westbrook, not because Westbrook is a great ball handler, but because all of the negative things that come along with playing Westbrook on the team will be highlighted even further, which is something that, again, I told you so. Before the season began, I told you that. I knew this was going to happen. The negatives from Westbrook were going to be highlighted even further. But because of Frank Vogel and because of the bad fit from Westbrook, I think they've become the scapegoat for this team being this bad. And definitely they play a part in it. But I quite frankly, I just think that the people who put the team together are the problem. Those are the problem. Those people are the problem. The people who piece together a roster that was poorly constructed, damn near from top to bottom, that's a team right there. Those are the people that you need to be upset with, because I mean, at some point you have to acknowledge that everyone else in the NBA world, or at least everyone else in terms of general managers and executives, they knew that the role players that the Lakers were receiving weren't quality role players. That's the reason why those other teams just allow those players to walk. If Kent Bazemore or Trevor Ariza were really that valuable, don't you think that they would have been attained by the Miami Heat and the Golden State Warriors? Another entity to blame, quite frankly, are the fans. The fans are the ones who put these high expectations on a team that had obvious flaws. Like, I get it, you're a fan. I understand that. But goddamn, there was like a stretch on Twitter where everybody was just sitting there saying, just wait. Just wait. Don't judge us until we get Trevor Ariza. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? And I blame you, and as well as the rest of the NBA world that didn't want to listen to logic and reason before the season began, from people like me, because I told you so. I don't know how you scrap this, dog. I don't know how you do it. The Lakers don't really have any assets. The amount of times I go on Twitter, or the amount of times I talk to Laker fans who genuinely believe, hey man, if we piece together a trade package with THT and Austin Reeves, maybe we might get Jeremy Grant. Really? That's what you think? You think the Pistons going to give up Jeremy Grant for fucking THT? That's what you think? And because of that, I don't really know what the Lakers can do. They only have one draft pick, and I think that's 2027, which who knows how valuable that pick is going to be. And a lot of the role players on the team, if they have some value, quite frankly, I think the Lakers should just keep them, because what they're going to receive in return isn't going to be that valuable, mainly because the salary is not going to match up. And B, the other player that they could trade is the one that everybody's been talking about as of late, and that is Russell Westbrook. And honestly, I don't even know if there's a team that's going to trade for Westbrook. Actually, I'll take that back. Let me be clear. Yo, to the people out there who believe Westbrook should be traded to Houston for John Wall, please shut the fuck up. I swear, the amount of times I hear people say, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe we can get Wall and make something work with that. Nigga, they're the same player. John Wall and Russell Westbrook are the same player. One is just healthier than the other one. I'd much rather have Russell Westbrook because the best ability is availability. I don't know what I'm going to get with John Wall, but they're the same player. But the other trade that I have seen that does intrigue me a bit is sending Westbrook to New York. Now, I don't know the nuances of the trade. mainly because I don't know if it's actually going to happen or not. But this idea of trading Westbrook, maybe the 2027 pick, as well as maybe another piece to the New York Knicks, and in return, the Lakers are going to receive Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier, and maybe some other young pieces. Now, I find that interesting for two reasons. A, it does address some of the three-point shooting concerns because Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker, quality three-point shooters, and it definitely gives the team an identity on the offensive end. Furthermore, it still allows LeBron to be a little bit more off ball because it gives him a primary or secondary ball handler depending on the situation and the sets that are being played. And I do believe that if you are the Knicks, there's a possibility that you just might like Westbrook a little bit better, not only because he might be able to sell more tickets, but also I do believe having someone like Westbrook in a locker room with a bunch of young players like they have out in New York, you definitely might have the ability to get a little bit more out of them than with someone like Kemba Walker. I don't know, maybe I'm pulling bullshit out of thin air, but maybe that's just what I would assume would happen. But I also say, man, that would be crazy. That would be crazy if the Lakers traded draft picks, they traded Kyle Kuzma, they traded KCP, they didn't have enough space to receive or keep Caruso, so they let him go. And then at the trading deadline, I mean, they ended up with Kemba Walker, who was basically being bounced around from team to team and waived from OKC in the offseason, and then an overpaid Evan Fournier. Like, that'd be a pretty crappy, that'd be a pretty crappy situation to be in. In terms of Frank Vogel, I don't really know if even firing him is the best answer either, because I don't know who are you replacing him with that would get more out of this team than what they're getting right now. And I think Frank Vogel deserves some bail because, again, I mean, what options are you playing him? There's a reason why THT and Carmelo Anthony and the players and Wayne Ellington have been receiving the minutes that they have been receiving, because that's just how the roster is poorly constructed, with injuries, with the protocols, and just, again, with the players on the bench. There's only so much that someone can do. Again, that does not excuse him for everything, because there's still times where I'm like, man, how is that even possible that you put a lineup like that? But I still just believe that this team, their ceiling just hasn't been reached for several reasons, and I don't necessarily know if that ceiling is even able to increase if you make a trade or fire Frank Vogel, in my honest opinion. Which is the reason why I say just stay pat. I don't know why the Lakers are rushing, or why they would even rush to make any changes, especially if you can be a bit more optimistic on what this team can look like when everyone is healthy. Where I do believe the Lakers should really look into, though, is the buyout market. Thad Young more than likely will be available. I think he'll be a great addition for this team. Also, there's a few other players who are looking to the buyout. So I think the buyout market just looks a lot more appetizing if you are the Lakers team. I think that a lot of people just have to accept that this team is just built poorly, and they need to adjust their expectations, because right now we're at a point in the season where I just don't see how anyone can make an argument for them winning a championship, or quite frankly even getting out of the Western Conference, or depending on where the seedings are, might even be another first round exit. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Please let me know what you think about the Lakers and them losing and them being horrible down in the comment section below. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Trading deadline's right around the corner. All-Star weekend right around the corner. All that stuff about to happen. Until next time, I'll see you all later. Peace.